Welcome to Prepare for Takeoff. I'm the creator and host, Terry L. Cyrus. We're the podcast dedicated to amplifying Black excellence. Every week, we sit down with a proven professional or a rising entrepreneur. This week, we're sitting down with Toronto's own writer, director, producer, Sheldon Shaw. Sheldon, what's going on, fam?
Ain't not much, man. Thanks for having me, man.
We wouldn't have it no other way, man. First off, let me give you your virtual flowers, man. You've been doing your thing for a minute. And we go back, and matter of fact, you remember the OMG team. I'm proud to call you our creative services director. Been doing your thing.
Absolutely.
We was able to collaborate on a lot of different projects. This is for Toronto. I know you have a lot of different projects in the pipeline. I won't give any spoiler alerts. I'll allow you to share that at your discretion. So with that being said, man, how did it all start from you? I know you were born and raised in Toronto, but I know your roots date back to Jamaica. So did you spend any time in Jamaica? Were you born there or were you born in Toronto? And how often do you get back to the out?
I was born in Canada, but I used to go back to Jamaica all the time as a kid with family and all that stuff. So I've been to Jamaica a million times, but Canada is my home. I got into film at a young age, watching Fresh Prince and, Martin. And I was heavily influenced by those mediums on TV. So I always thought to myself, how do they make these shows? How do they create these things? So I had an interest in film from a young age and ended up taking a course in college, filming and broadcast. So from there, that's when I started my company with two other people, Potential Films, in 2012. And from there, we just created a lot of content for businesses and brands. And then we decided, maybe we should do a documentary. And the first documentary we did was This is for Toronto, which we collaborated with Outspoken Media. And, we got distribution with All Black at the time, a streaming platform, and it eventually went on Amazon Prime. And, we continue to grow and expand our brand also with new documentaries coming out. I have another one coming out on CBC. It's about my uncle. So I'm pretty excited to see the reception with that documentary.
Explain to us in the States what CBC is, the magnitude of that, man, because they may not be that familiar with that network and what that means to have an opportunity to be showcased on a platform of that size.
CBC is one of the premium cable networks in Toronto, in Canada. So that's pretty much the network you want to be on out here. There's Bell as well. There's TVO. There's NFB. I was lucky to pitch CBC a couple of years ago about this project. And they loved it. And I was able to collaborate with a few other production companies in Winnipeg and Montreal, Noble Television and Rain Films. So they actually helped me develop this project. So I'm happy to see what the reception will be. It's a labor of love. It took about four years to complete. So it's well overdue. And I think everyone's going to like it and receive it well.
Talk us through the dynamics of film and television. I know there's an industry there that is different from here in the States. There's grant funding and things of that nature that I think helps fuel a lot of independent filmmaking. So talk us through how filmmakers, if you're in Toronto or you're in Winnipeg or Montreal and you have a project and you don't have any money. Now here, it's a matter of raising capital. It's a matter of passing the hat around, GoFundMe, whatever the case may be. So what is that process in Canada like?
The Canadian industry is pretty unique. We have the grant system and a lot of films that, we see on Netflix and Prime and different distribution channels are funded by grants in Canada. So they also have huge tax credits in the country as well. So there's a lot of different grants that filmmakers can take advantage of, especially being a Black filmmaker. The last couple of years, because of George Floyd, there was an immense amount of money that was dumped into the arts for Black creators. It's kind of slowed down a little bit now, but there are a little bit more, still a lot more grants that you can apply for. So it's really just a matter of building your team and filling out the questions on the application the right way. And it won't help for you to actually get a network on board before you even fill out the grant, because at least you have distribution backing before even applying to the grant. But that's a lot of work. And if you have the right team, it could be done for sure.
How about if you're based in the States and you want to take full advantage of the opportunity to access that grant funding? How would you go about doing that?
Well, the best thing to do is to partner with a Canadian producer, because a lot of the grants require you to be Canadian. So if you were able to get a Canadian on your team that has a track record or reputation in the industry, it'll help your grant application a lot more. You can't just be a American citizen and apply, unfortunately.
So it's a matter of collaborating with someone that's based
Absolutely.
there. And so really they would be the person that would be securing the grant and you would be the collaborator on the grant. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So you'll be the collaborator, and once you do that, once you get the money, you'll then be able to start working on your project. First off, development funds. We have development funds for productions, and that's usually the first step to any production. So we go after development funds first, so we can develop the project, see what the intricacies of the project, the themes, the layers, and figure out if this is something that we actually want to do, and to see if who should be interviewed if we're talking about specifically documentaries. So usually that's like a year process. So it is a labor of love for you to enter into the documentary space. But if you're passionate about it, it definitely can be done.
I know you'd mentioned that a lot of these projects they find themselves on Netflix, Hulu, Prime, etc. What are the conditions in getting that grant as far as distribution is concerned? Do you have to have distribution in place? Does the first run have to take place in Canada, or do those specifications even exist?
Yeah, those specifications do exist, but it just depends on the grant that you're applying for. There are a lot of grant organizations, but they all have different eligibility criterias. So, sometimes it's like you got to be associated with a network before you even get this grant. And other grants, you don't need a network. So it just depends on the ones you're applying for. But the higher the grant, the more eligibility you'll need. So, sometimes you need a certain amount of projects to apply to this grant, or sometimes you need, a certain type of producer that has a track record to apply to this one. So it all depends. They're all different. They all have different rules. You just have to read them and apply and wait.
Do you have to have a grant writing background, or is it a matter of literally just filling out an application that you would find online in any other capacity?
It would help if you had a grant writing background, but I mean, people usually use trial and error, and with the advancements of AI, that could help you as well. But they do have a lot of grant writers out there. But I think the best advice to give somebody is partner with someone that has filled out these applications before. Someone with a track record, someone that has got this money before, that has a high success rate. That'll increase your chances of getting the money.
I've been in this business for an extended period of time. A lot of what it is I've learned was through trial and error. As resources become available to us, I enjoy sharing those resources to show people that there's another way to get certain things done. You're not at the mercy of the networks. You're not at the mercy of the studios. If you come to the table, you have to come to the table to have as much to offer as the person that you're trying to do a deal with. What you
Exactly.
really want is you want to form partnerships in the film of entertainment. And that's just anything, whether that's business, whether that's, you pick the industry. You want to be seen as a partner, because if not, then the balance of power is going to be drastically, in the favor of the individual who has, the most resources. And then we want to turn around and get mad. Man, they made all this money. I only made this. I only made that. But you knew that going into it. You seen this as an opportunity to get your name out there. And then when the project blows up, now you want to kick the can down the street, and
Yeah.
and that can is smack dab center in the middle of someone's back.
I think a lot of filmmakers, they don't want to share their IP, and that could be a detrimental to the project because you know this film industry is also about who's working with you, right? So if you're a brand new filmmaker and you have this amazing idea, but you don't want to share your IP, or share it with someone that's more senior than you, then you're going to be basically self sabotaging your career, because if you want to get in the game, you got to give up something to get in the game. Now, I think once people get in the game, that's a good accomplishment. It's successful, but you also need to play the game now too. So now you got to foster these relationships, meet new people, put yourself in these circles, and have those uncomfortable conversations with people and maintain those relationships, because that's the only way you're going to be sustainable in the industry.
We also want to make mention of, although there's something that you have to give up, but you don't want to ever give up your integrity.
Right.
But we all have to make sacrifices. It's no different than any other contract negotiation, whether that's in sports or business or what have you. Like, no one side is going to get everything they want. There has to be a happy medium, and find that happy medium that aligns with your core values. And the benefit, to your point, of collaborating with someone who's more senior than you. Now, what that's saying to the industry is this individual is willing to share a boat with you.
Right.
And clearly, you are somebody that is contributing to where that boat is going, because if not, then you would weigh that boat down. Now, check this out. I can remember the days of not being able to even rent a car, let alone buy one, without someone signing that contract with you, because you didn't have any credit history. You didn't have any history of buying a car and then paying and then making the payments as scheduled. You didn't have a history of even renting cars. So there had to be somebody on that agreement who had that history, so they could say, if Sheldon doesn't pay us, then we can have his mom pay us. We have his father pay us. We can have a family member pay us. But Sheldon alone, I'm not taking that risk. Sheldon's 21 years old. He's never owned a car in his life. He just graduated from college, and he wants us to give him a loan for a car that costs $40,000, and we want to put ourselves in the hope business. That's not business. Nobody's hoping to do anything. They're going into business knowing what they stand to receive and how they can have an ROI on that investment. And business is no different. People lose sight of the fact this is the entertainment business. It has to make business sense. With you, you've been doing this for some time now. And for someone fresh out of film school wanting to do a project with you, and they say, this is mine, all mine. I don't want you to have anything, but I want to be able to take full advantage of your resources and have you gain very little. What's going to be your incentive to do that?
That's crazy.
That makes no sense.
Like,
it makes no sense.
I just like the analogy of having 10% of, a monster than 100% of nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's what happens when people get, they get selfish and they want to keep it to themselves, and, they're going to end up working on their project for like 10 years and it's never going to get made because their ego gets in the way, and they don't understand that the goal is to get the project made, right? So once you get it made, then things could start to happen for you. Then you could start to talk about your project. You could screen it here, screen it there, meet new people. So people need to put that into consideration and understand that you need a village to create a film. You can't do it by yourself, right?
I agree, man. And I know far too many people that unfortunately applies to, whether in film, whether in a lot of other adjacent industries, where they're creative individuals. They have these amazing ideas, but they want to show up like Tyler Perry. I want to write, direct, produce, star. You don't have that cachet yet. You'd rather be a spoke in the wheel of success than the entire bike that's crashed and not fit to ride. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. But let me ask you a question, man, because I know when you think Toronto, you associate that with Drake, The Weeknd. I'm sure you watched both of their ascends. But did you notice an uptick in people all of a sudden saying, I sing, I rap, or I make films? Was, as far as the entertainment industry as a whole, was there an uptick in people's participation based on their successes?
I think absolutely. I think those two individuals, Drake and The Weeknd, definitely inspired a lot of people to keep going, made a lot of new artists actually pick up a pen and start writing, go in the studio to record and start performing. Drake kind of influenced a lot of rappers to be singers, you know what I mean? That's just a fact. So I think their influence is tremendously impactful on the culture of Toronto. And I just want to see more of that. Even Tory Lanez as well. Tory Lanez is a big one as well. Mm-hmm. But I think they were highly influential, and they've created a lot of opportunities for artists in Toronto and Canada since they have been successful. So yeah, definitely. Prior
to them, a big one out of Toronto was the director X, and some people may know him as Little X. So
Legend.
Did people like that inspire you to want to go into film?
I think so. He was definitely a part of my journey in hindsight. And I think also Cardinal Official was a part of that too. He was coming up as a rapper. I dabbled into music at a young age. So I think just seeing his videos and stuff like that, him on TV doing interviews, I think that did contribute to my filmmaking journey for sure.
not only are you in the business of entertainment, but you have family members who are also in the business. So now let me ask you a question. I'm sure that the same way that those individuals influence you, and can you say that you also have that same distinction of influencing people, whether in your family or friends, say, man, Sheldon's doing this thing. He picked up a camera and he was on go. So now maybe may want to do some things in front of the camera. So I guess it's a two-part question. A, do you feel like you had that impact on your friends and family? And if so, are there any people that comes to mind that you care to mention?
I think so. I believe so because I wasn't always a filmmaker, right? So I guess they've seen me, go from doing no films to having like 3 films. You know what I mean? So, and me, I'm also impacted by a lot of my peers and mentors that I've grown up with. I had friends that started a gym out of nothing, and then now they have a franchise. I have a cousin that's an actor, Shane Marriott. He started with one short film, and now he's on a bunch of different platforms. TV shows and movies. So yeah, I think I'm highly influenced by the people around me, and that's going to continue to happen. I'm highly influenced by things I see on social media as well. I don't really have to know you, but I can still be inspired by your successes and how well you speak about your career on camera. You know what I mean? That's highly influential for me.
What I'm saying is you also have influenced others, like in particular your cousin. I'm pretty sure you had the camera in your hand before he started to act. So I'm
Yeah,
certain that when he's seeing you doing your thing, and it may have been something in his spirit that he may not have answered that calling had you not answered yours first.
right, right.
And now a lot of times people don't understand the domino effect that you doing the right thing by way of listening to that calling that has been placed on you and the impact it has on others. So
Absolutely.
whether it's seen or unseen, it matters because you're right, we're influenced by what we see. You can't be what you don't see. And
Right,
I know
right.
growing up in West Virginia, man, I didn't see a lot of examples of things that was of interest to me. And I was someone who was very influenced by what I seen on television.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you were as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a great point. I think, when we started the production company, we social media was just starting to take traction, Instagram. So people are able to see us more frequently than not having social media. Because when you don't have social media, then it's like you got to get on television, and that's impossible. Especially when you're like
Right.
you don't know nobody. So social media allows people to see your work and critique it, and you got to take that critique and keep moving because there's going to be critics and there's going to be fans of yours. So you got to be able to balance both and take the bad with the good.
What age do you feel like you were when you discovered your purpose of being a filmmaker?
That's a great question. I think around, I'm going to say around like 16 because I went to an all Catholic school, right? We used to wear uniforms to school. Anytime that we would have those days where, we could wear our own clothes, I would always bring a camera. You know what I'm saying? My friends would make jokes and laugh and do pranks and stuff. So I had a camera at a very young age. So I didn't even notice at the time what I was doing. Like I was just having fun. Right. So I think that kind of sparked me to, take a media arts class, enroll into college, do this film program, you know what I mean? And watch movies religiously, TV shows religiously, right? Really study them. So once you get into the film industry, watching a movie is never the same. you never
Right.
you're never going to look at it the same anymore. So, but you got to be content with that, and you get used to it after a while, right? Like you're always going to think
Mhm.
about, oh, the lighting, oh, the sound is good, okay, the cuts and all that stuff. So I'm also an editor at heart, right? So, and also I recently just got into the tech industry. I'm a serial entrepreneur. You got to pivot, every business you got to pivot. You got to keep up with the times. You can't get left behind.
Thinking about starting your own business? Make it real with Shopify, the all-in-one platform trusted by millions to sell online and in person. Whether it's merch, art, or digital goods, Shopify gives you the tools to build, grow, and succeed. And here's the best part. When you sign up using the affiliate link in our show notes, you're supporting Prepare for Takeoff and starting your business off right. Click the link and start your free trial today. I know you also have pivoted into the VR space. So you care to share with our viewers and listeners what that consists of?
Me and my partner started a tech company specifically in the VR space about 2 years ago. And, it's an AI powered VR solution to teach people the basics of sound engineering. So it's a gamified experience, and you receive real time feedback from a motion capture artist that's going to instruct you to how to make a song sound better. So at the end of the experience, you'll be able to hear the song that you created and download it to your email. So we're building out this platform right now, and we're in seed funding. We're looking for funding right now, and thanks to Canada, there's a lot of grants that we can apply for. So we're just keeping our head focused and applying to these grants and hoping that we can develop this more and launch it to the public, because I think it's a very interesting platform that basically is not created yet. Really, it's really new, and it's like the best time for it.
So you guys seen a void in the market and you're looking to supply that demand, which is huge in any business. And luckily
Right.
for you, you have grant funding at your disposal. And then more importantly, to your point, you have a history of securing grant funding.
Yes. Yes.
So that all are things that are feathers in your cap. So that's super dope. And I know that you also are involved in various festivals throughout the city. Talk our viewers and listeners through what that consists of.
For the last 3 years, I've been a program director of a festival in Toronto called the Toronto Pan-African Film Festival. And, the founder is Laurie Beezer. We've been building this foundation for the last 3 years. And we just finished up our third annual last month. So we had a great curation of films with I curated all the films in the festival, communicated with the filmmakers, communicated with the networks. We had a great audience of people. So we're going to continue to build this event and hoping to inspire more filmmakers to apply and get their film out there, because it's hard to make a film in it, but it's even harder to get it out there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't understand that marketing is everything. If you're not marketing your brand, you're not going to get out there. You're not going to get seen, right? So we're trying to teach the importance of showcasing Black voices in the Black community.
I don't think there's enough of that, whether it's in Canada, whether it's here in the States. That's why we're about amplifying Black excellence, because we see but so few examples of people who are doing their thing behind the scenes. We know of the juggernauts. We know of the Will Packers. We know of the Tyler Perrys. We know of the Ava DuVernays. But man, there's so many other people that are doing their thing that they don't get that same light. If I'm a young aspiring creative and I only know 10 people that come to mind, now it's no different than this. In their mind, I have the same odds of making it to the NBA. So they may completely just shut out the possibility of going into something creative and do something that may be low-hanging fruit, if you will, but they may unfortunately live to regret that, because they didn't listen to that voice in their inner spirit. And then they grow old with regret. So I'm always encouraging people that there's nothing that you can't do. There's no one you can't be. But unfortunately, we all, even if you're from Canada, mentally and emotionally, you're from Missouri. We're from the show me state. Show me. So if Sheldon says he's a filmmaker, show me. Show me your projects. It goes back to what you said. And if you can't show somebody what you've done, but you have this binder of scripts, ain't nobody messing with you.
Right. Also, I would say too, even in Canada, not only do we have grants, but we have a lot of programs for filmmakers. So these programs are going to enhance your skills as a filmmaker, and a lot of them are free. They just need your time. So I was lucky to do the Real World program, the Black Entrepreneur program, which put me in front of a lot of producers and distributors. And because of that, I was able to foster new relationships in the film industry. Right. So, shout out to Real World and shout out to Oya Media Group for all the help that they gave me and others that I work with. So it's monumental to my career as well.
Talk our viewers and listeners where the participation in that program took you. If I'm not mistaken, it took you somewhere across the pond.
Real World, they allowed me to travel to London, England, to the Content London, a film conference out there, pitch my projects, meet new distributors. TIFF, I was able to go to TIFF, in Toronto. I was also able to go to Cannes in France. We're able to see that was a real great monumental experience going to France and meeting all these filmmakers out there and seeing what they're doing. And yeah, they just really changed my perspective on how film operates in Canada. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of Canadians think you have to go to the States, and some Canadians do go to the States, right? But, Real World was created by Tanya Williams, and her whole mandate was, I want people to stay in Canada and follow their dreams. You know what I mean? So even though she moved to LA herself, but there are a lot of Canadians doing their thing that are able to make a living off of film in Canada. And so with these programs, they're really helpful and really insightful, and they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg. All you need to do is put your time up and be open to learning new skills and meeting new people.
I really feel that there's a lot of opportunities there. We plan on, as an organization, taking full advantage of what some of those opportunities consist of, to be able to collaborate with you and your colleagues on the other side of the border and just figure out what we can do to bring some of these projects that we have in development, to bring them full circle into fruition without having to be at the mercy of investors, be at the mercy of getting that thumbs up from a network or a studio. So
Exactly.
you always want to be in a position where you're being proactive and not reactive.
Absolutely. And collaboration is key. You know what I mean? And I also think, it's always best to keep refining your craft, keep working on your craft, even though things are slow. You still got to work on your craft, and, because there's always somebody trying to take your spot. So you always got to be ready. You got to stay ready, and you got to refine your craft at any given time that you have.
You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Exactly. You got to stay ready.
No doubt. So, and that kind of leads me to my next question. If there's a young filmmaker, writer, director watching this, listening to this, what advice would you give them if they're not in Canada? Let's say they're in Cleveland, Ohio. Let's say they're in Omaha, Nebraska. They're not in one of these hotbed markets for entertainment. They're not in LA. They're not in New York. They're not in Atlanta, but they want to go into filmmaking. Would it be required that they have to move, or has technology afforded them the opportunity to do a lot of the things that wasn't possible? They can do it themselves from wherever they're located.
First, I would say, try to figure out what exactly you want to do in film, because there's a lot of different positions that you could play, so once you figure out the position that you want to play, I would say study your position. You know what I mean? Do the research and study people that you look up to, study people that have success, and follow their paths to success and try to mimic what they did. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like I would say, if you study a filmmaker's journey, try to see if you could. It's not going to be the same story as yours, but you could see how what they did and try to mimic that success, right? So I would think that I would try to apply to a film program. A lot of these film programs are remote now, so I think it just starts with research and reading. So a lot of people don't like to read, but that's part of it. You got to read, and research. So I'd say start with that. And if you want to make a film, make a film. Don't wait for anybody to tell you that they're going to give you the money to make a film. You could just make a film on your iPhone now, or your Android phone, or whatever device that you have, right? So there's really no excuse at this point. I think if you really want to do it, you will do it.
I agree, man. And that's similar to what Deion Taylor told me on the red carpet when I asked him, how did you get into film? He said, I decided I wanted to start making films. It wasn't a matter of him saying, I'm going to go to film school, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He just decided, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to make it happen. And now he has an onslaught of projects that he's directed, film, television, things that are iconic, especially in our community, as well as outside of our community. Sometimes it's just a matter of doing it. And doing it is the thing that I think it holds a lot of people back. Because a lot of times people, they develop paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
And what it really boils down to is people's ego. People don't want to fail.
Yeah.
People don't want to be made to look as a fool. Oh, you thought you could go to the moon and now you fell on your face? You're regular like us.
Right.
Nobody wants to experience that, but those same individuals who are naysaying you are going to be trying to convince people at the barbershop that they know you.
Right. And, like, good example, Dion Taylor, he didn't start off as a filmmaker. You know what I mean? Like, once he started to do his own film, then okay, now he started to learn a lot of things and what not to do for the next one and what to do for the next film. So I would just say, man, just get a script together, write something. Doesn't have to be long, but do something, make something, and put it out there, put it out for the world to see, and sit back and wait. And also, really, you really have to network. I would say LinkedIn is really great for that, for film. Facebook, they have a lot of Facebook groups. Get your film on these platforms, Instagram. Get your name out there. Network. If you can't travel, you got your phone, right? So a lot of people rather scroll than network and try to push their career. So a lot of people like to like things on Instagram and share jokes, but really, they're wasting time, because if you have a passion for something, you'll put all that to the side.
Shout out to our very own Natalie Jasmine Harris, our commercial content director, who has not just one short, but two shorts on major platforms, including HBO Max. Even though it's rare air to sell a short, but it can be done, and Natalie's proof of that. But what advice would you give my fraternity brother's niece or anyone else that's in that similar situation on what they should be doing with their short to not only promote it, but help it get to its destination?
I think the easiest thing is to submit to festivals. Film Freeway is great for that. I'll make a Film Freeway account, apply to as many festivals as you can, because that's going to get you visibility if you're selected. Now, if you're not selected for whatever reason, I would just put my film on Instagram, Facebook, and I would bug people all the time. You watch my film, you watch my film, you watch. I'd sell my film to everybody, to the point where they get sick of me. Because a lot of people, they post their film once or they post their song once, and they think that, that's enough. But you really got to get in people's head. People got to get tired of seeing you. You got to really push it in their head so they understand, what is this? Okay, now I'm gonna check it out now. So you really got to just be relentless with your craft and push it out there and take the feedback and, have an open mind with that feedback.
You have to be patiently persistent. If nothing else, you want people to know what you do. Know what your brand is. If nothing else, exactly. You want them to know you're a filmmaker, you have a short, whether you see it or not. You now are going to associate me with content. You're going to associate me with filmmaking. So now, if and when there's an opportunity, do you know any aspiring filmmakers? Matter of fact, I do. This episode of Prepare for Takeoff is brought to you in part by Riverside, the platform that I trust to record studio quality podcasts right from my laptop. With Riverside, I get crystal clear audio and 4K video. Plus, it's super easy to use. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Riverside helps your podcast sound amazing. Try it out for yourself. Click the affiliate link in our show notes and start recording like a pro with Riverside. As we close out, I wanted to give you the opportunity to leave our viewers and listeners with 3 things that you feel will help them prepare for takeoff.
I would say perseverance, because you have to hear a lot of no's before you get to the yes. I would say, teamwork. It takes a team to get to where you want to go. Don't try to go by yourself, And I would say persistence. Be patiently persistent. Never give up. Keep plugging away. Keep networking. Keep refining your craft. Keep inspiring people around you, and changing your circle. Change your circle around people that are winning, that are better than you, that are smarter than you. So you'll be the next one. We have to be examples of what it is that we're telling people to subscribe to. And I'm glad that we have a team. I'm glad that there are opportunities that are going to afford us to go across the other side of the border and do some projects with not just you, but your colleagues. And to be able to come back and tell people we were able to do it because we were able to do it together. The people who are winners, the people who are successful, they have the right mindset. I think one other thing that I missed out, I would say be coachable, because being coachable is going to allow you to grow. Being able to take constructive criticism is key, and that is very important to your growth. I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to want to know, how can I get in contact with Sheldon Shaw? How can they reach out to you on social media, website, email, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing? My personal Instagram is Sheldon Shaw, PROD. Right now my email is sheldonshawproductions@gmail.com. You can check out my website, Potential Films Inc., which is transitioning into Undeniable Studios, and LinkedIn, Sheldon Shaw as well. So get at me, hit me up, and let's collaborate. Let's work. Sheldon, thank you for
spending so much of your time with us. Also, I wanted to thank all of our viewers and listeners. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on Spotify, or whether you're listening to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Audible, iHeart, or Pandora. As you know, every week we're going to continue to bring you proven professionals or rising entrepreneurs. And all of these conversations, just like this one, will help you prepare for takeoff. Sheldon, man, thanks for joining us.
Thanks again, man.